Hello, friends. I'd like to welcome you to our pre-Leo full moon broadcast, or rather webinar it is. We have our broadcast actually tomorrow, starting at 4:30 p.m. GMT, and the actual time of the full moon is GMT 6:09 and 20 seconds in the evening, rounding off to 6:10, but 6:09:20 is what it is. And we always have our pre-full moon work before the actual full moon work. It's more astrological in its nature. And this is the time that we are also celebrating the Sirius festival. There's a very close link between our solar logos and the logos of the star, sometimes called constellation Sirius. And the Sirius is the great initiator of our entire solar system and has upon it the Great White Lodge, after which the White Lodge of our planet is patterned. Somehow there's a very close relation, we have been told, between our little planetary scheme and our planetary logos and that great source Sirius. So we're celebrating at this Leo full moon not only many things about Leo, but the great theme of initiation. And we are celebrating the idea that Sanat Kumara, the Lord of the World, recognizes the entire hierarchy, including all new members, at this time of the Sirius festival. It's a time when we can understand identity in a unique way and understand the requirements also for initiation. Now let's see where we are here. I'd like to take a look at our usual banner and the Jafra illustration. We have this magnificent mantra coming in under Leo. I am that and that am I, or I am that and that I am. It is a statement about our identity with the one life. We oftentimes think of ourselves as an I am, as a kind of limited individual, a personality, a being that is somehow isolated from others and distinct from them, and that's simply the first level of Leo recognition. We have that process, which began with individualization, growing into the full recognition of his personality nature by the modern intelligent human being. But that's only really the first phase. The second phase has more to do with the soul. I am that. And anything that we see, we can understand as part of the great unity, and we are related in the one world soul to all that we see, related in consciousness. There is but one soul. And in that soul, all the little souls are fused. So whatever we see within our contents of consciousness, it is part of a great underlying unity. And as we achieve more and more soul consciousness, this kind of realization can come to us, but really only once we're on the path, and it is kind of consummated at the third initiation, so it lies before us. And then this great mantra, I am that and that am I, which speaks of isolated unity and is the realization of the Master. He knows himself to be being itself, to be life itself. So it is what we might call consciousness of being. We have the rulers of Leo, which are the Sun, Neptune, and Uranus. The Sun may even be a kind of substitute for the great planet Jupiter, DK seems to suggest it may be the case. When we are on the path, we can begin to use the esoteric ruler Neptune, which is related to the heart of the sun, to the great flow from the soul nature of the sun found upon the, or of the solar logos, found upon the cosmic mental plane, the higher part of the cosmic mental plane. And eventually we can come into relation with the spirit of the logos itself and with our own spirit, the monad, under Uranus, which is the hierarchical ruler. Realize that we are spirit itself, we are life itself, and its first expression, the divine will. There's so much of the first ray involved with Uranus. Interestingly enough, it is the home of electric fire, meaning its monad is on the first ray, whereas Neptune is related to the solar flames. Its monad is on the second ray. And we'll see in an illustration from Francis Donald the beautiful blue that is associated with Neptune. Here we see in the Jafra illustration the rampant lion. It expresses much of the first ray quality. Through Leo comes the first ray of will and power, and the fifth ray related to that first ray, the fifth ray of divine mind. We see the sunflowers all around. We see a great crown going on above the illustration with the heart. The first and the second ray are blended here with the idea of the crown and the heart, and this is suggesting the union of the first and second ray, which suggests the monad. Here is Hercules wrestling with the lion, and we all have to learn how to wrestle with the king of beasts, you know, and that's our personal self, which for so many millions of years is the dominating factor. We go through a number of lives where we have no notion, really, of the power of the higher of the pairs of opposites within us, the soul. Here is Apollo, in a way a representative of the solar logos, and he's playing his harp, and his harp has 7 strings which stand for the 7 rays. So the rays are related, especially to the heart of the sun. They're related especially to the second ray. Astrology to the third ray, and the rays to the great second ray. And our solar logos is a great heart of fiery love. It has a second ray personality. It has a second ray soul, our solar logos, and chances are finally that its monad will be found on a second ray. So every one of us, regardless of what our rays may be, have our home monadically within this heart of fiery love. We are essentially a unit of love in this solar system. So we have to learn how to achieve higher and higher levels of identity. That is not easy to do, and our first task is to realize our union with each other in the heart, in the field of Buddhic love. Realize that somehow, regardless of time and space, we are all connected in one beautiful unity under the ray of divine cohesion, which is the second ray. So a great, in this field of the great blue logos, we are all connected to each other, and somehow we have to realize there is no my soul or thy soul, but only the one soul, the one consciousness. Francis has given us some beautiful illustrations, and here the deep blue of Neptune is found. Probably on Makara can be found his text regarding this, but this is a theme of group initiation with the Christ standing at the center, backed by the 3 Buddhas of activity. And the Christ is the geometrical center of this circle, and every unit within the circle perceives the Christ as if face on. So the Christ energy pervades all of the group which is in process of being initiated. The other illustration is deeply occult, it shows the candidate for initiation, and his many accomplishments are represented by his belt of many incarnations, and he is passing through. The first initiation is at the door of the second initiation, and here Sekhmet, the lion goddess, sort of the reverse of the Sphinx. She has the head of the lion and the body of the woman, and the Sphinx has the body of the lion and the head of the woman. And Sekhmet is the initiator. I think what's most important here is the idea that one must pass the burning ground to each initiation, and this will lead to true initiation, which is at the third degree. Now, you know, when you think about it, Leo is connected with all the 5 initiations. We know very well it is the main significator of the first initiation. If the person is born in Leo as the sun sign, or under Leo as the rising sign, because there the soul comes into prominence and the monad for the first time touches the soul. Personality is not aware of it, but this is the birth of the Christ self, the radiant Christ self. Then at the second initiation, Leo represents the heart of the sun, which floods the emotional body, and at the third initiation, Leo represents the divine illumination of the radiant, transfigured individual who is now living fully consciously in the higher 3 levels of the mental plane. At the fourth initiation, Leo represents the causal body, and Scorpio stages the release of Leo, is involved in the destruction of that causal body and the liberation of all its energies into the spiritual triad. And finally, at the fifth initiation, and Leo is the 5th sign, we have the great revelation for which the sun is the symbol. It's the revelation of the purpose of the planetary logos in a way that cannot be understood before that time. So there is a great blazing forth, and the person becomes a true master of the wisdom, the highest point of attainment within the human kingdom per se. And beyond that, when the individual becomes the Chohan, he's no longer a member of the human kingdom, but he is still a member of the 4th or human creative hierarchy. Let's see a few things that Francis has said here. He's got some excellent ideas. This whole idea of Sekhmet, she's a powerful goddess, and Ptah is her consort, and he appears in the middle of the staff. Sekhmet is polarizing the creative fire of Ptah by burning away the dross, and that is so much what Sirius does at this time. Sirius is not an easy star. Burning away the dross resident in the physical matter with the purifying light of the sun, and by this action Sekhmet consecrates matter to spirit. The real influence of Sirius perhaps cannot be felt until the 3rd initiation. I mean, we respond directly then to the fixed stars and to Sirius at the 3rd degree, but as we begin to tread the path of probationary initiation, taking the 1st and 2nd degrees, we can begin to understand something of this purifying path, ever so demanding, demanding divine justice and burning away all dross in the process. And that is not easy to qualify to be a true disciple at the 3rd degree for Sirius, and simply a humble 1st degree initiate or entered apprentice, as it's called in Masonry, at the 5th degree. A master is a humble entered apprentice on Sirius. So there's such a demand by the Sirian energy. When we pass through the 2nd initiation and sort of meet our lower selves in the desert, overcoming through reliance upon our deep inner nature, the world, the flesh, and the devil, when we're able to do that, then we are really confirmed upon the Sirian path, and not before. Then we will not deviate, and we will move towards the sunshine of the greater sun, as it's called, in which no evil can possibly exist. So there are this meeting of the initiator by crossing the burning ground is a factor for all of us. And here Francis explains this, and when you get the, you probably have his writings. They should be on Makara. He has submitted writings. He's done 2 illustrations for each one of the initiations, and then he's written certain things in explanation of them. Here are a couple of quotations from Master TK which are important in this regard. Man is the path itself, and also the pilgrim upon the path. Thus does he burn, but is also the burning ground. You know, the monad is extended through the soul and through the personality. We are all the monad in every phase of its expression. And as we reascend to our true home upon the monadic plane, that reascent is via the burning ground. The monad has extreme fiery will, whatever its ray may be, and works upon the personality as a magnifying glass does, burning away all the dross. Another quotation here: it will be found that before the door of initiation lies the burning ground, which all disciples and initiates must tread. The Leo subject, and this is so interesting, you know, it's the person with the sun in Leo or Leo ascendant, treads this burning ground with will and self-effacement. You know, the very liability of Leo, which is excessive pride and self-concern and excessive ahamkara, is done away with on the path of initiation. 4 of these initiations are related to the door of initiation, and that's the first 4, and not afterwards, as occultly understood, and with the interpretation of which we are familiar. These 4 are related also to the electrical fire by friction, that is, of the cross, fire by friction of which that door is constructed, acting as a barrier, and which spreads to and creates the burning ground across which the initiate must 4 times move in order to enter through that door. And beyond that point, the symbolism of the door is no longer used because we're beginning to tread the way of the higher evolution. Now, if you look at the world today, it's absolutely on the cross, it's on the burning ground, and so much of it is because people don't really know who they are. Their desires lead them towards fanciful types of satisfactions which cause all kinds of conflict with their fellow human beings and lead even towards the destruction of the planet. There's the great gift of Leo. You know, Socrates was actually an individual, at least according to my calculations, with very late Leo rising. He had Taurus as his sun sign of illumination, and Leo, who always asked the question, who am I? Just as the Delphic oracle asked that question, just as every one of us must ask that question, who am I? And if we can succeed in answering that question, we will realize that we are responsible for our own evolution, and we are not going to be given some sort of gift in some sort of fatuous heaven in which our physical and material desires can somehow be achieved, as if that was the end of all possible spiritual attainment. We have to discover ourselves as the soul. That's really what initiation is. It's the discovery of oneself as a soul with all soul powers. And from that time forward, we really, in identification, are no longer the personality. This is the second phase of the Leo development, and we have to learn how to focus within the causal body and recognize ourselves truly as a soul, using the personality as an instrument, and later will come an even higher recognition of ourselves as the one. So we want to thank Francis for contributing these very evocative illustrations. They give us the sense of a great depth of our process. You have to remember that on the burning ground, well, let's just say on the fixed cross, which we as disciples upon which we are crucified. We're crucified upon the fixed cross. We have three signs. One which gives blinding light, and that's Taurus. And then comes Leo with fiery pain. And this is interesting because we must burn away all excrescences, all dross. And it is a painful process to do so. And then the bitter woe of Scorpio with its detachment. And then comes liberation in Aquarius, where the third, fourth, and even the fifth initiations can be taken. So this is a magnificent sign. Egoism is rampant in the world today, but if we understand something more about the inner self and demonstrate that inner self in the world and to each other, perhaps we can set the kind of example, and Leo is the sign that sets the example, which will give other human beings the idea that there is a higher level of identity to which, with which they can identify, and that will change their desire nature entirely, and then will thereby change the way the world is going, especially humanity's role in this jeopardized planet, let us say. Okay, friends, that's a little introductory material, and I'd like then to turn to the meditation. We are really just, I don't know, about 22 hours before the actual full moon. Therefore, we're still in a day of dedication. It's a mental attitude. And when the 12 hours before the full moon begins, we enter into this day of safeguarding. We are intensely receiving and holding the energies and building up towards the moment of the full moon. And it's during such a time, we have been told, at least that's how Master DK did it with his students, he and other masters were on the lookout for approaching consciousnesses who were deepening, intensifying their point of tension to the point where they really could approach the hierarchy, and the hierarchy would come into rapport with them if the approach is made properly. So in another 10 hours or so, this period of safeguarding, receiving, and holding begins, and then 12 hours after the full moon we can begin our day of distribution, and we have registration and the sense of expectancy and belief finally grounding in our etheric body what we have experienced. Okay, so let us see if we can enter these deep mantrams and end with some sort of sense that we really are pure being. We really are that, and that we are. So we come together. There are about, I don't know, maybe 75 of us altogether, or 76, something like that. And we are scattered all over the world, of course, but we come together in soul consciousness. We are not the personality. It's only an expressive aspect or instrument for us. And we withdraw from our usual outer preoccupations, withdrawing inwardly from the sensory body consciousness, and withdrawing from our emotional identifications, and even seeing as if at a distance our lower mind with its many thoughts and mental processes. And we recognize ourselves as the soul in incarnation. It's an aspect of the divine observer. Within the personality, we observe the instrument but do not identify as the instrument. And as we slip into greater abstraction, we find ourselves, at least imaginatively, in the field of love and light and spiritual sacrifice, the realm of the egoic lotus of what we call usually the soul, the ego, capital E, and as it were in the presence of the angel of the presence, that extension of the solar angel which underlies all our life on the higher mental plane. We are in the field of soul illumination, and soul unity of love, and soul power acquired through sacrifice. And in this way we can touch each other beyond the personality and have that sense together, all of us, as one consciousness, uniting with each other in that way, uniting with the members of the new group of world servers in soul, uniting with the men and women of goodwill all over the world, as if we are really the same as they are. One being here, one sameness, one identicality, one soul. That fluid substance we call consciousness flowing through all of us. If we knew how, we could slip into each other's consciousness in the one soul. It's a form of yoga to do that. And it requires a lot of sensitivity, the very sensitivity which is the keynote of Leo. Sensitivity to what is the self, to what is consciousness. So here we are all over the world as one being. And when we look towards each other in soul, we have to feel that identicality in soul. There is no my soul, there is no thy soul. There's only the soul, the one soul. And the second ray mantra here that we ponder upon it every month. Naught is but me. Not the personal me at all. Naught is but me. And when we visualize each other or seem to touch each other in this state of soul, there's only one I in all of this. And may we wear away those veils which prevent us from realizing this one I-ness in our soul field. I am that. And probably you feel this in the heart when it happens, a slight vibration of recognition, of realization in the heart, realizing your fellow souls as one. So time and space mean very little in this type of recognition. It is a form of identification. And when the heart of the sun expresses its nature through our soul and through the astral vehicle, this type of identification can be pursued and sensed as real. Sometimes when you look at the images of the masters, you realize they're not distinct at all. They're one being, and that one being is Sanat Kumara behind them and through them. Pervasion of the soul, pervasion of identity. We feel that. And our antakarana, made of the two strands of soul and personality energy, symbolically reaches into the realms where this type of realization is ever present in the cosmic ethers, beginning with the Buddhic plane. Our antakarana brings us illumination, and so we think of it touching the monastic permanent atom and the abstract mind. All of us with the two colors of our soul and personality ray are using the color indigo if we are uncertain. But that rainbow bridge rises and seems to touch this world of Buddhi, which is the world of harmony, the world of intuition, where a realized unity is the common realization. And it touches the realm of spiritual will we call Atma, where the will as expressed through the plan, impulsed by the purpose, is realized and drives us. We have the strength to carry it out in our own local sphere and with our groups. The group driven by the spiritual will of Atma. And so the antakarana rises and touches at length how we will symbolize the monad as the blue-white diamond, in the very heart of which is pure being, isness, the fact of being. That we are all identical with each other in being. It is not what you are, but that you are at all. I am that, and that am I, in pure being. And so, across this antakarana and the group antakarana with all the different colors of the rainbow, all of us united in this upward thrust, this projection toward pure being, we will sound 3 times the sacred word, reciting inwardly to ourselves the second ray word of power. I see the greatest light, the light of life itself. I see the greatest light. Inwardly, as we project, and outwardly the Om. The light of the higher mind, the light of the intuition, the light of the will, and the light of life itself. This is a light in which what life is comes to light and is recognized. And we can identify as it. And so we're entering these realms where the masters focus their attention in the cosmic ethers, and they are real and cooperators with Sanat Kumara, the planetary logos, and we will cooperate with them. We will offer our solidarity with their plans, their intentions, their will. The reality of the hierarchy. Alice Bailey always tried to emphasize that. There are many veils, perhaps, which prevent us from realizing the reality of the hierarchy, not as they appear to be on the astral plane, you know, the false images, not that, but their reality in the cosmic ethers. And we stand in soul with them, cooperating in the manifestation of the divine plan. So we offer our salutations, our solidarity to the great ones with deep gratitude. First to the head of the hierarchy, the Christ. Salutations to the Christ, the Master of all Masters. Salutations to the triangle of masters with whom we most closely work, the Master M, K, H, and DK. Salutations to the Master M, the head of all esoteric schools and organizations. Salutations to the Master K.H., whose ashram does most to prepare for the reappearance of the present Christ, Lord Maitreya. Salutations to the Master D.K., who trains aspirants for initiation, the one who has given us the blue books. Salutations to your own Master as you know him to be or conceive him to be. Salutations to the entire spiritual hierarchy of our planet. And imaginatively, we raise our thought to Shambhala, that center, that point of attention where the will of God is known. We approaching as a group with deepest reverence and in all humility, identified as the group being, the group soul, we seek to attune to the presence of the King of Shambhala, Sanat Kumara, at the very center of Shambhala. A long, silent Om inwardly as we attune as a group to his will, to his purpose, and seek to become imbued to whatever extent is possible by his energy, the energy of Shambhala, stimulating the will aspect within our nature. A long, silent, inner Om. May the will of Sanat Kumara be done upon the earth and through each one of us as a monad soul personality. May we understand this will for carrying out the sacrificial will of our soul. The will aspect is the next frontier for all of us. We don't understand much of it, but not my will, but thine be done. And so we have saluted the great ones. We stand with them in cooperation. Via the Antakarana we can receive something of these higher impersonal energies, of the cosmic ethers, and have some sense of pure being which unites us all in identicality of selfhood. We are of one essence, one consciousness. We are a point of tension. We are not people scattered all over the globe. We are a unit of light, of love, of power, of being. Let's try to see that. We are a being at a point of tension together. And symbolically we hover over the golden path which leads to the heart of the indigo sun, a great second-ray center, from the center of which we will make our approach to the planetary, stellar, zodiacal energies now available. So, the golden path shortens and brings us with it. We at a point of tension together, we as one being, shortening, shortening, and entering then into the deep, intense indigo blue of that central core. And here it is as if we ponder on the presence of Master D.K., a great expert in the field of energies, meeting his consciousness and seeking to be outposts of that consciousness, achieving deeper understanding together, supported by his consciousness. So our approach now to the recognition of and pervasion of these energies related to Leo, and first, of course, is the great sun. The sun itself, perhaps veiling Jupiter. It will be the sun. It will be the sun veiling Neptune. It will be the sun hierarchically veiling Uranus. This is the solar time. And the monad is Uranus-Neptune. It's Atma Buddhi. This is a time of approach to identity, not only as consciousness, but as being. When we say God is, with the ancient sixfold trumpeted stanzas, we are also saying, I am that I am. God is, I am. So we ponder now on the power of the sun, the vehicle of the solar logos. We may look at the sun, but how often do we think of the solar logos. Behind that sun, he is the Most High. He is Helios. He is Soul, the One. He who stands alone in splendid isolation in this solar system, in his own type of isolated unity. We attempt to conceive of the sun as a great symbol of microcosmic and macrocosmic identity on three levels, all of which we possess: the personal self, the individual or egoic self, and the spirit or monadic self. We are all of these three simultaneously. We have to learn more about the two higher levels and learn to be them at will. A great intensity of love lies beyond our identification as personality. A great intensity of will lies beyond that, and underlying it all, pure being, life. The solar logos for us, through his vehicle, the sun, is the effective source of life, of consciousness, of will, within our entire solar system. Let us blot out all things except for this contemplation on the solar logos. And what would it mean if we actually are that which finds its home within the sun? That is what we are. And what is that? That finds its home within the sun. Our solar destiny, realized through the higher initiations eventually, and we want to feel something of this. Feel, touch our solar identity, even though we're so used to thinking of ourselves in more material ways. We have a solar identity. And that sense of solar identity must flow through our groups and recondition our individual and group life until we really know what it means to be solarized. When does it really start? Sun beings, eventually what's called sons of the sun. It's a category of being. Sons of the sun. It all begins at the third degree, the first solar initiation. But inherently we can feel ourselves somehow, all of us, to be sons of the sun. That solar identity blazing within us. There is within us the great synthesizer, the synthesizer of all the planets and also the sacred planets. Well, that's the beginning and that's the end. In the interim, the sun veils Neptune. It conveys the power to experience the solar flames which are focused within the heart of the sun, a great center on the cosmic mental plane, the higher cosmic mental plane, heart of the sun. There are other lesser hearts of the sun, but this is the source. And it can change our attitude towards love and unity. So we attempt to sense the alignment which leads from the heart of the sun through Neptune, that great blue planet, through Venus, through Sanat Kumara, who is the Lord of Venusian love in Shambhala, through the Christ and his hierarchy, through the group soul and our own soul nature, and into the heart and the head and the heart centers of all group members. In the heart and the head, flowing from the great heart of the sun through these wonderful heart sources. And we attempt to feel the glowing warmth of love divine expressed as identification through the heart and the head center. And expressed as compassion and selfless love through the heart center. Compassion and selfless love. And we dwell imaginatively within the Neptunian solar fire, the higher aspect of Neptune, the second ray. Dissolving all boundaries between you and anyone else, so that love and divine compassion flow without personality, rejections, barriers. Love. In the blue logos, in the great blue of Neptune, the bluest of the planets. Love, identification, and divine compassion flowing through our groups, so needed by all of us, flowing through humanity, desperately needed at this time of separative, violent thinking. We will imagine this great permeation of our groups and of humanity. We will sound the Om on the blue note. It is a G, and feel imbued by these solar qualities through Neptune: love, compassion, identification. How it does dissolve all barriers which the personality can throw up and which militates against soul union. But this greatest of all the powers in our solar system can dissolve all the barriers. There's no place where it cannot pervade, no one whom it cannot pervade. The heart of the sun, coming in so strongly at the second degree and only increasing after that. Transforming the entire astral body. Creating a new and intimate relationship between all of us based on soul. The heart of the sun and Neptune, Venus, Sanat Kumara, the Christ, our own hearts. But there's still more. The transcendental power of the sun, the hierarchical power veiling Uranus, it's the solar Uranian power to convey the will of the solar logos through the divine flames and the will of the planetary logos through the will of the monad. That will, of course, is love. It is divine love, especially in our solar system. His will is love, but it's an unfailing love. So as we think of this electric planet Uranus, we attempt to sense the electric fire of pure spirit emanating from the sea of fire, where the essential monad dwells, once liberated, sea of fire, the true home of Shambhala in all its beauty. Electric Uranus associated with the logoic plane, passing through that which we are as monad, through the spiritual triad, into the jewel in the lotus as the reflection, extension of the monad, and expressing purposefully through the central jewel in our crown center, electric fire, and the crown centers and crown jewels of all the group members and of all those who work in the new group of world servers, of all the hierarchy, the central jewel, and the will logoic. and we attempt to realize the will to express through electric fire the divine archetype of our true essential spirit, that which we are, our essential identity as the monad. As pure being, we are all one, but we have a unique structure on the monadic level, the archetypal level. And that we must express if the will of God, the planetary logos, is to express. So in a flash of realization, let us attempt to grasp the occult oneness of all. Not just unity, great as it is, but oneness, which identification reveals, which the first ray reveals. Electrified into oneness by Uranus, the hierarchical ruler. In a flash, time and space collapse, and all variety changes into the one. And this we need as well. Of course, it lies ahead, but we need it. And we will sound this Om. We'll sound it, let us say, on a first ray note. We'll use the red note, C. As a matter of fact, let us use the violet note first, B, and then resolve to the C. As this oneness delivered to us through electric fire pervades our realization. The sun itself, perhaps veiling Jupiter, the sun veiling Neptune, the sun veiling Uranus, the great solar logos, the blue logos, all pervading in his solar system and attuned with Sophis, as the Egyptians called it, the star Sirius, blazing with the sunshine of the major sun. Our solar logos and the logos of Sirius. some 33 times brighter than our sun, a great sacred star where our sun is not yet, twinkling with all the 7 colors, 7 ray energies passing through it. Sirius, the initiator, the scorcher, the burner of dross, the star of sensitivity, the star of initiation, from the sun, our sun, to Sirius, wherein the law of karma is wielded, and the law of freedom. Tuning as a group to the Sirian energy through our blue logos. Sirius, in many ways, the cosmic Christ for our solar system. The initiating power, elevating our whole solar system, our planet and each one of us on the path of initiation. So there it is, following Orion, the great hunter, with the 7 first magnitude stars, brilliant stars, far greater than Sirius itself. Sirius, the loyal dog to Orion, and yet great in our estimation. Sirius, as if you can see it through your Ajna center, elevating all beings in our solar system through the regime of initiation which it instituted. Sirius, home of the Greater White Lodge, and home as well to the Blue Lodge with its 3 degrees representing our first 5 initiations. Sirius. Blazing in the night sky, for those of you who are in places where you can see it. Go out and see it. Tune with it and realize the tremendous alignments. The sunshine of the major sun. How can we fathom what Sirius is? It is in so many ways the star of sacred geometry, and it geometrizes our nature until we become the archetype we are, become an expression, the archetype we are. So at this time of the Leo full moon, it is the Sirian energy which is pouring through as well. And Shambhala is setting the seal upon all the members of the hierarchy, the seal of acceptance, of recognition, that august body, in which all of us will one day be included. The seal of recognition comes at this time. From the great Lord, inspired by the Solar Logos, inspired by Leo, inspired by Sirius. It's a time when we can blaze forth as we really are. So in the silence, let us visualize the inflow of Sirian energy passing through every monad's soul and personality on planet Earth. It is especially hierarchical in its nature, but it touches all. We must not drop Sirius out of our mind during this time. And then we focus upon the constellation Leo itself, whose light is the light of the soul, the light of the second aspect, a reflected point of light, logoic or divine. And it brings the diffused light of Cancer, focusing it into a point. The great will to illumine coming from Leo. Leo, Sirius, soul, SOL. A blazing time in terms of our identity. And so we open ourselves to the energy quality of Leo and all the rays pouring through. And going beyond I am, and going beyond I am that. We ponder deeply in the silence. I am that, and that am I. Or even I am that I am. We ponder that level of identity, that level of identification with spirit and life. I am that, and that am I. I am that I am. Not just a little human being, not just a shrouded spirit on the higher mental plane, something more. I am that I am. I am that, and that am I. I am the life, and in that life all little lives remain. We have that, the life of all, pure being. I am that, and that am I. To really drop the lower identities and center in the true higher identity. What a liberation it is. All of us together being that together in one I-ness. Right to the very core where the liberated monad dwells in the sea of fire, with its Leonian hierarchy on that level. I am that, and that am I. It can go deeper and deeper as layer after layer peels away and we find ever deeper identity, dropping our false notions of self. Being that blazing something, that life at the core, which is more than any form with which we associate ourselves, hiding all difference, blotting out all form. I am that I am. So we keep that inner blaze, that overpowering blaze of being, which overcomes all fragmented sense of identity, till we know we are at the point with all, a point of pure being shared by all, the one monad. and all separation overcome thereby. I am that, and that am I. I am that I am. So carry this with you. There's still many hours before the full moon. That energy coming from the one about whom naught may be said, and pouring through its constellational chakras, perhaps through Orion, a great heart center from a certain perspective, through Leo, and into our local cosmic logos, in which our sun is a heart center, and Sirius is there too. Through Sirius, through our solar logos, to the various planets, Neptune, Venus, Jupiter, through them all really, and into our planet, through Shambhala, through Sanat Kumara, through all monads, into the hierarchy centered in the Christ, through all souls, down through our centers, through the heart and the head, through the heart center. I am that I am. The great identity makes itself felt. And that identity is so different from the very limited sense of self, which distresses humanity today. Something of that identity can make a difference as a wider self begins to dawn on ignorant human beings. So, filled with this sense of new identity, pour it into an area of life on earth, of humanity's behavior on earth that needs this change of perceived identity. Be imbued with it as a group. Pour the new identity forth, and see at least one level of identity changing, at least away from that selfish, encapsulated lower ego self, into at least the unity of all selves, the unity in the soul, at least that. And for those who can, maybe into the one. Pour it forth. And see human beings conquering their personality illusions as they realize a greater identity. So they can resonate at least to I am that. Bringing cohesion and love and unity, and not the battle of personalities. And for those who can, I am that I am. I am that, and that am I. We will sound on the second ray note as we see this energy of deepened identity pouring into places where it is needed, among people where it is needed. Three times the Om pouring forth. This beneficent energy which confers a deeper understanding of identity can work its benevolence. And we must hold to this deepened sense of identity, friends. It's not what we usually think. It's not what we usually see. It's deeper than that. It resolves our separation into unity and our unity into oneness. It overpowers fragmentation, the illusion based on fragmentation, overpowered. So let us live in that consciousness in which our habitual sense of difference and distinction is overpowered by this realization of true identity as oneness. Together, we will sound in the great invocation, breathing these energies of light, love, and power into humanity, and seeking to bring about a sacred planet, right human relations, the externalization of the hierarchy, and the reappearance of the Christ. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Friends, stay in your higher identity during this time before the full moon, which occurs at 6:09 and 20 seconds tomorrow evening, GMT Universal Time. And let the point of tension increase from this time to that, and then let the distribution rightfully occur. Stay with it as a group. Stay with it as a group. And we'll see you in the unity and the one identity at the time of the full moon. All the best, and have a wonderful full moon meditation. We'll be offering our broadcast here. Tuya will be presenting the music and images for the Leo full moon, and we start at 4:30 GMT in the afternoon, 7:30 here in Finland. We will see you then, hopefully. All the best. Bye-bye.